It starts with silence, then a beat, then words. Not just any words, but words that paint scenes, crack open minds, and pull emotions from deep places we forgot existed. I never sleep, 'cause sleep is the cousin of death. That line alone made people pause, rewind, and reconsider everything they thought they knew about rap. It was Nas, barely 20 years old, channeling generations of pain, pride, and poetry into Illmatic. That's the power of lyricism. It isn't just about rhyming, it's about crafting entire universes with syllables. The best lyricists don't just speak, they sculpt. And in this world of poetry over drums, some voices rise above the noise. Not because they shout the loudest, but because their pens never lied. Their bars weren't just bars, they were blueprints, mirrors, confessionals, and sermons. These are the MCs who didn't just ride beats, they dissected life on them. And when you trace the DNA of hip-hop's most profound verses, you'll find yourself standing in the shadow of giants. Somewhere in a quiet studio in Brooklyn, a young kid once scribbled down, "I got a story to tell." Biggie didn't lie, he was a master of narration, a cinematic MC. One minute he's recounting a stick-up with humor and flair, the next he's painting the pain of suicidal thoughts with unsettling vulnerability. What made Biggie different wasn't just the swagger. It was the way he could turn tragedy into entertainment without ever losing its weight. His rhyme schemes were fluid, internal rhymes stacked on multisyllabic flows, all delivered like it was effortless. Listen to Everyday Struggle, or Warning, those aren't just songs. They're short stories in rhyme form, packed with tension, irony, and wit. Biggie was lyrical without being dense. He was complex without needing to shout it. But if Biggie made the streets poetic, Andre 3000 made them psychedelic. There's something about Andre that feels untethered, like he's floating just above the beat, bending it to his whim. "Spaceships don't come equipped with rearview mirrors," he said once. And just like that, a bar became a philosophy. Andre could be cryptic, playful, or profoundly emotional, often all in the same verse. On tracks like Aquemini, or The Art of Storytelling, he danced between past and present, fact and fantasy. His rhyme schemes were unorthodox, his vocabulary boundless, and his delivery unpredictable. In a game that often favors formulas, Andre never played by the rules. He rewrote them, in cursive. Then there's Black Thought, the eternal cipher. For decades, he's been the quiet storm, revered by peers, feared by mics. Some folks woke up to him when he unleashed that 10-minute funk flex freestyle that left the internet gasping. But real heads knew long before. On every Roots album, Tariq Trotter poured out dense verses with a scholar's mind and a fighter's spirit. His alliteration, his historical references, his breath control, it's as if each verse is a thesis. Listen to Clock with No Hands, or 75 Bars. These aren't just songs, they're exercises in mastery. Black Thought doesn't waste syllables. Every bar is weighted, every metaphor has layers. If MCing were academia, he'd have multiple doctorates. And when it comes to layers, Lupe Fiasco might be the most intricate puzzle in the game. He's the kind of lyricist who rewards patience, the kind where you don't catch the double entendre until the 10th listen. Mural alone could be studied in a literature class. 11 minutes of metaphors, allusions, and philosophical riddles. He weaves Islamic theology into street narratives, flips anime into social critique, and drops triple entendres with a casual smirk. His debut, Food and Liquor, was a revelation. Kick, push, felt light, but it masked deeper questions about belonging and identity. Lupe proved that complexity could be cool, that intelligence could slap. Speaking of slaps, there's something surgical about Royce. 59. Sharp as a scalpel, deliberate with every word. His evolution is a testament to what happens when raw talent meets refined discipline. Early Royce was a battle-hardened technician, but later Royce, the one who made Layers and Book of Ryan, bared his soul while still slicing beats to shreds. Cocaine, Power, Tabernacle, these weren't just lyrical masterclasses, they were confessions dressed in rhythm. Royce's rhymes are symmetrical, his punches precise, and his internal rhymes feel infinite. He turned sobriety into fuel and pain into poetry. Every line is measured, but the emotion behind it is boundless. And emotion, That's where Tupac lived. Not every critic places him in the lyrical elite, but they're listening with the wrong ears. Pac didn't aim for complexity, he aimed for clarity. And in that clarity was the genius. So many tears doesn't need a dictionary to hit you like a bullet. Brenda's Got a Baby doesn't need punchlines to be unforgettable. Pac was lyrical because he wrote from the soul, unfiltered. His cadence was pure passion. He could sound like a prophet, a thug, a lover, and a revolutionary all in the same breath. And when you hear, "Keep your head up," or "Dear Mama," you realize, lyricism isn't always about density. Sometimes, it's about resonance. And no one resonated like Pac. But then came Eminem, the white lightning bolt through hip-hop's sky. Controversial, theatrical, and impossibly skilled. From "Stand" to "Lose Yourself," he bent the English language until it screamed. Rhyme schemes that wrapped around themselves like spirals. Wordplay so sharp it could draw blood. He rapped about demons, dysfunction, and fame with a brutal honesty that made people uncomfortable, and made critics stand in awe. His verse on "Renegade," beside Jay-Z didn't just impress, it overshadowed. M poured trauma into rhyme, often masking pain behind dizzying technique. But when the dust settled, there was always a message, a meaning, a madness with method. And speaking of Jay-Z, few have matched his consistency. Hav isn't just a mogul, he's a poet in a business suit. From "Devils" to "444," Jay wrote with surgical coolness. His metaphors were tight, his double entendres sneaky, his stories layered. He turned his life into scripture, documenting the hustle from Marcy to Madison Square. Dead presidents, "Can I live? You must love me," these are moments frozen in lyrical amber. Jay's gift was making the complex feel casual. He'd drop a bar that sounded simple, until you played it back and realized he just referenced Basquiat, drug deals, and spiritual warfare in one breath. He aged like fine wine, his vocabulary expanding, his introspection deepening. By the time 444 dropped, Jay wasn't just flexing. He was confessing, educating, mentoring, still rhyming circles around the competition. Then came Nas, the prophet from Queensbridge. With Illmatic, he didn't just rap. He translated entire blocks into poetry, visualizing the realism of life in actuality. That's how he opened, "It Ain't Hard to Tell." And it wasn't, because he made you see it. The pissy hallways, the dice games, the pain, the dreams. Nas wrote like a novelist trapped in a teenager's body. His rhyme schemes were fluid, but never showy. His metaphors were potent, but always organic. And he didn't stop at Illmatic. Rewind was storytelling in reverse. "I gave you power," turned a gun into a narrator. Who does that? Nas did, and made it sound natural. His mind was wired differently. He could rap about crime, philosophy, religion, and politics all in the same verse. His pen never dulled, it only got sharper with time. And now, there's Kendrick Lamar, the voice of a generation raised in chaos and conscience. Kendrick doesn't write songs, he constructs operas. Albums like To Pimp a Butterfly and Damn aren't just music, they're meditations, movements, manifestos. On Alright, he wrote an anthem of hope in a time of despair. On You, he unraveled into raw vulnerability. His control of cadence, his manipulation of voice, his stacking of meanings, unmatched. He can drop alliteration like a battle rapper, then switch into introspection like a preacher. How Much a Dollar Cost wasn't just a parable, it was scripture. Kendrick is both surgeon and shaman. Every line is dissected, every concept woven with purpose. His words don't just entertain, they transform. From the boom bap of the 90s to the experimental flows of today, lyricism has always been hip-hop's heartbeat. It's what separates the memorable from the immortal. These artists, from Biggie to Kendrick, didn't just spit rhymes. They turned language into legacy. They taught us that words can carry more weight than bullets. That a well-placed metaphor can change minds. That a verse, when written with soul, can last forever. In a world drowning in noise, the true lyricist cuts through. Not with volume, but with precision. With purpose. With poetry. And as long as there are young kids scribbling rhymes in notebooks, chasing that perfect 16, the torch stays lit. Hip-hop isn't just beats and bars. It's truth told with rhythm. It's pain turned into power. It's the art of saying something real, and saying it beautifully. Because in the end, that's what lyricism is. Not just how you rhyme, but why. Subscribe for more.